Hello and welcome to Rotted Review of the Day, and today I am reviewing the 2018 movie Mara on this Netflix Tuesday. This movie is available on Netflix currently as of this recording. Now this is going to be a somewhat abbreviated, shortened review for a few reasons, but I think primarily it's because I'm running out of time. I have a full-time job besides doing this channel, and I gotta get to it. But regardless, this movie also wasn't worthy of a whole lot of 12 full minutes of discussion. Really, I mean, I didn't dislike it. Ultimately, what I found was a movie that had some good little creepy moments, a few good little jump scare moments, but otherwise was just somewhat forgettable, somewhat unremarkable. And, this is not one that's going to stick with me for any amount of time. But I'll go ahead and throw up the scores all at once here. This movie follows the character of Kate, who is a psychologist and is called to the scene of a crime, of a murder, and is needed to evaluate the suspect's mental state, decide whether or not they should go to the prison or the hospital. And inadvertently, in doing so, separates a mother from a child, and being racked with that kind of guilt, all of a sudden starts experiencing some of the symptoms that the victim of the murder apparently started experiencing, and she takes on the investigation herself. This follows red dot in the eye and sleep paralysis and a few other little things that tend to ramp up, and that she meets other people with sleep paralysis that have experienced the same symptoms, and some with deadly results and some in the midst of apparent hauntings. So this is a bit of an investigation to find out what's going on with them, what's going on with herself, and what happened with the murder victim that she had investigated. Overall, this movie just didn't have a whole lot going on for it. I mean, the story wasn't bad. I wouldn't say that any part of this was a bad movie. It just was somewhat forgettable. The character of Kate, the principal character that we are behind throughout, feels very one-dimensional. It basically feels like she didn't exist before the camera started rolling, and once the story is over, then she'll cease to exist again. There's just not a whole lot of backstory, no friends, no real personality, she is working in service of telling the story, and that is it. Is not a really fleshed out character, and being the protagonist, that's a bit of a shame. The scares themselves are also a bit forgettable. They land in some cases and not in others. They have kind of a style to them of a bit of I Spy. During the sleep paralysis, you'll get a scan of the dark room, and it'll last there. And instead of something jumping out of the shadows, something that seemed to be benign will all of a sudden move, and you realize it's not, like a coat rack all of a sudden has arms and legs, and you realize it was a person the whole time. Things like that. And like I said, some of it worked, some of it didn't. The overall core mystery element of this and why things were going on, it made sense, but it also was just a bit unremarkable. It's basically, let's take this negative psychological or emotional attribute of humanity and give it a haunting, demonic element to it. And nothing wrong with that. It just, I really wish that things had been fleshed out more. But ultimately, I did give this just 51 out of 100 points. That's not a terrible movie, but I do think it should have been better. I wish that we had had better characters. I wish that we had better scares, and I wish that we had a better mystery. But that should about do it. That's my review of 2018's Mara. Thank you very much for joining me here today. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Remember, next time you want to watch a horror movie, first make sure that it's good and rotted.